Hello there. Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, there, I broke my own rule. I need to turn the phone off, right? There we go. We're live. Here we are. Happy Monday, everybody. I say it often, and I know I repeat myself sometimes, but that's just because I want to get the message out there. Not everybody likes Mondays. I love Mondays because that means they're going to talk to some cool and fun and interesting people. And I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching here this afternoon. I had somebody say to me the other day, though, they said, David, I don't watch your show live because it's 3:30 in the afternoon and some of us work. And I said, yeah, I know, but you can always watch the replay, right? This stays on the show page. And wherever you're watching this from, we're simulcast in about 8 different areas around the world. Here in Canada, of course, coming right to you from Sarnia, Ontario, Canada. A couple different places, and these are Facebook hubs that host us, and that's how we get simulcast around the world. A couple throughout the United States. Our friends in the United Kingdom, thank you, Stephen Healy, for the live video hub. And we're also another spot in the United Kingdom on the US hub, it's called, in the UK, US hub, UK. We're in Australia. Where else are we? South Africa. Thanks to our friend Brigetti for that. So thanks to all of our friends. We're simulcasting about 8 different places. But if you want to share your comments or ask questions during the live broadcast, simply you have to. There's a link up. Is it above? Yeah, the link in the description above. Click on that link and watch us directly from there. If you're watching on any of our simulcast partners, we won't be able to see your comments when you put them. You have to do it directly from our page. I don't make the rules. That's just Facebook. They get to do what they want. Why? Because Facebook is free. So I guess if you're going to use somebody else's car, you got to drive by their rules, right? So there you go. I would like to know, I see we have some people watching though, but if you are watching, say hello in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from and just give us hello. Happy New Year. It's still Happy New Year time because it's the first week of. I think you can say it. Come next week. It's just another year, but Happy New Year. This is, of course, our first broadcast of 2019. Wow. Happy 2019. Make that official by doing this. It's a live show and it's my show. I can do whatever I want. Yeah. Happy New Year 2019. Are you someone, do you make resolutions, New Year's resolutions? I don't. I do not. So why don't I? Somebody said, well, why don't you? That's your spot. I try to make goals all year long, right? You know, in my business, in my personal life. I think it's the worst time. Here I am, the ex-smoker. I'm going to harp on you smokers out there. I think it's the worst time of year to try and quit smoking. Because first of all, you only try. You got to decide. Anyway, I won't get into all that. I think it's the worst time of year. And although I will say gym memberships are up this time of year, everybody gets joining the gym for at least a couple of months. And I know I should do that, but yeah, gym memberships. Gyms are happy this time of year because sales go up, right? For how long? I'd be curious to know. I wonder if there's a stat on that. How long? So when memberships go up in January, I wonder how long, what the average is of how long they last and how many actually stay for like more than 3 months. I'd be curious to know that. Maybe somebody out there watching, you could Google that for me and let me know. I'm excited. I start a new career, a part of my career tomorrow. I'll be starting at Lambton College, teaching some live streaming production as part of the esports and entrepreneurship. One of my guests is trying to reach me. And I'm excited for that. Yeah, it's a new adventure for me. And I got some other cool things coming up over the next 2-3 weeks. Got some great announcements as to what we're going to be doing here on the show. Some new things. And on the Video Show Network, that's also changing. Somebody asked me, they said, what's the Video Show Network? And then there's the show. So let me just explain this to you. So the show is me individually, right? And then the Video Show Network originally was designed to host other shows and have other shows from around the world hosted on there. And that's what we ended up doing. But before I did that, it was TVSN was to be like a network, right, of local shows. But then when cross-posting happened in Facebook, we were able to share cross-post live shows. So that's what it turned into. So what I've since done is, and great, we've got our first guest in the lobby. We'll come to him in a moment. Thanks, George. What I'm taking that away now, the folks that have been hosted on the Video Show Network, and I've created the Talk Show Network, because mostly what we do around here is the Talk Show Network, right? So I'm going to be transferring all those folks on the Video Show Network over to the Talk Show Network, and then some new things happening on the Video Show Network. So many networks. Am I confusing you? I'm confused, and I'm the guy doing it. So anyway, let's talk about some Sarnia Sting, though. Talking about local Sarnia Sting hockey fans. Frustrating time right now for the Sarnia Sting. It's the word consistent has been like this all year. They're still okay. They're definitely going into the playoffs and not bad positioning. I think they're like about 11th overall. That might have dropped a little bit over the weekend, but let's take a look at what happened last week. Sarnia Sting updates. The Sioux Greyhounds came into town, and the Sarnia Sting battled very hard against the Greyhounds, the number one team in the league, of course. They're certainly in the conference. And unfortunately, an overtime loss. 3 overtime losses in a row here for the Sarnia Sting, losing 5-4 to the Sioux Greyhounds. And then, as it would move on, the Sarnia Sting on to the Hamilton Bulldogs. And I wasn't there. Friend Jay Peckham, who joins me at the Sting games for the broadcasts, he said they played really hard, but just weren't able to close the deal. 4-3 in overtime there against the Bulldogs. And then they would move on to the Erie Otters. And again, another overtime loss. And again, another score of 4-3. So while they're still getting some points in there, they're looking to get more points. So they're going to be back here coming up. Before they come back here on Wednesday, payback time, as they will head down to visit the Sioux Greyhounds on their territory to get some payback, hopefully, right? And then they'll be back here on Friday night. We'll be live from the Progressive Auto Sales Arena as Ottawa will be in the house of the Sarnia Sting. That's this Friday, January the 11th. Of course, I'll be live with the pre-show and intermission shows. My friend Jay Peckham will likely be joining me, and our friend Jake Chersky from Philly Cheese Jakes gets there to join us as well. And we're looking forward to that. So keep supporting your Sarnia Sting. Go to sarniasting.com online. You can get your tickets for that coming up. Again, this Friday against the Ottawa 67s. Heavy Rescue 401 on the Discovery Channel. Very excited for this. This is the 3rd season of Heavy Rescue 401. Of course, local celebrities here in Sarnia, Preferred Towing, fantastic team, and coming up to some of their biggest challenges yet. But as you may or may not know, Gary and Tammy Vandenheuvel purchased the old ABC Daycare Center here in Sarnia to create a youth transitional housing facility. And this is, this is husband and wife. This is really Tammy on the forefront of all this. Is very personal to her, and that's what's making all this happen. But they're having a fundraiser, again, to raise money to support this transitional housing facility for youth. And I'm happy to say once again, I'll be the MC and host of Heavy Rescue 401 for a special edited edition of that night that we will be showing that before you see it on the Discovery Channel. So this is the 3rd year we've done this fundraiser, and we're happy to be doing that again. Tickets still only $30. That's going to give you a nice meal from the Donny Club, some pasta and focaccia bread and dessert, and there'll be a cash bar there as well, and silent auctions, etc. Again, all these proceeds, 100% of them going to this transitional housing facility. And a special thanks to Lug Nuts Trailer and Truck Repair for being the title sponsor for this event. You can go down to Preferred Towing here in Sarnia. And that's happening, to get your tickets, that's happening this Saturday, January the 12th. And doors will open at 6:30, food at 7. This is a very exciting Heavy Rescue 401 episode 2 of this season 3. It's a nail biter for sure. That's all I can tell you. Get your tickets and get down there and enjoy it. All right, wrestling fans. Well, I got to tell you, do you remember, you can go back a long ways with the history of wrestling. I know I go back to my days in the 80s of the Junkyard Dog and the Honky Tonk Man and Hulk Hogan, all those guys. But wrestling has never really seemed to have gone away. It's changed a lot. Granted, it's changed a lot over the years for sure. And even in the last, I would say 5 to 7 years, wrestling seems to be in a different part of the world, seems to be making its comeback. And Destiny Wrestling is coming to town. And right now, joining us from the lobby, President of Destiny Wrestling, George, thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me. Sorry about the a little bit late. We're having a little internet problem, but we're clear. We're good now.
That's okay. Well, as you know, when it's live, the show must go on.
Absolutely.
George, and I apologize. How do you say your last name properly?
Men's.
It is Men's. Okay,
yes.
I wanted to make sure. George
Men's.
Yes. And you're the president of Destiny Wrestling.
I am. I'm the president of Destiny Wrestling. My character, or Monarch, they call me George Iceman.
And how long has Destiny Wrestling been around?
We've been about around 5 years now.
Yeah. So what made you go out? I mean, obviously you've got some history in wrestling, but it's one thing to be the character in a show, but it's another thing to take it to another level and put on the shows and organize all of that. What were you thinking?
That's a good question. I was always a fan, obviously. I love wrestling and grew up watching it as a child. Even later on in years, it was just a good time to be entertained. It was like a soap opera for guys. So to get along with your friends, have a beer and have some wings and watch Monday Night Raw, especially during the Attitude Era, that was a big thing for us. You know what I mean? So later on, as time moves on, a couple of friends of mine got to be wrestlers and go to the WWE. One of them specifically was Anthony Corelli, and everyone knows him as Santino Marella.
Yeah.
So Canadian actually, from Mississauga. And when he moved back, he built a state-of-the-art facility in Mississauga called the Battle Arts Academy. And it's absolutely amazing. But they train everything, not just pro wrestling, kickboxing, boxing, judo. They do weightlifting there. They do tons of fitness classes. So it's a tremendous facility for everyone in the community. And one of the things they want to do is give back to the community and try to help make it a little bit easier, not just to be a professional wrestler, but possibly compete in the Olympics and go out and live your dream and be an athlete. So he reached out to me, said he was doing this facility and so forth, and wanted to know if I was interested in getting involved. So I got involved, and we did some student shows, and one thing led to another there, and Destiny was born.
That's fantastic. Well, it usually comes from the heart when somebody starts something like this. You've already, you've already had an involvement, and you've been able to, make some nice relationships. And what's it take? I mean, I know there's probably no short or one answer, cookie cutter answer for this, but what's it really take to make a successful wrestling show?
It's I think a lot of variables. One thing for sure right off the get-go is the talent that you acquire, the people that you use in the ring to compete, to fight and entertain everybody. That's very important. So talent is number one. Two, obviously, it's presentation, how you present the package and in the facility that it's at. Does it look good? Is it professional? Is it clean? How does the ring look? That comes into play. Of course, the fans, very important, depending on the city you go to, and how loud the fans are, how emotionally involved they're into the match, how they relate to the characters, how they scream, cheer, boo. That's always an integral part of the show. So a few of those things definitely come into play. And on that, Sarnia, for the first time that we were there, was amazing. The crowd was amazing, family-oriented. They got involved, they cheered, they booed. It was just amazing. We loved Sarnia, and so we thought it would be a great time to come back.
Yeah, well, it's funny. You mentioned the fans. Of course, obviously the fans in any type of show are super important. But if you look at wrestling now, and then we go way back. I mean, they sort of know what's really going on now as far as storylines and characters, etc. But the fans seem to and I've been involved in a few shows. They seem to automatically, without really being told what to do, they get involved in the show themselves. Would you agree with that?
1,000%. Their emotions get the better of them.
Yeah, and it's and it really makes a big part of the show. It creates a reality that's happening.
Yeah.
In there. What about the wrestlers? You talk about the talent. I mean, obviously there has to be an attraction and there's got to be some excitement, and every character brings a different piece to the performance.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
I think we sort of tend to forget that there still is a bit of risk involved physically for the wrestler, right?
There's always risk involved with the wrestlers. They're athletes. They're professional athletes. They put their bodies on the line. It's rigorous to do what they do. They're on, certain eating regimens, dieting. They're traveling. They're in cars, hotels, planes. They
Yeah.
have to find time to go to the gym to work out. Their gear. They have to practice what they do. They're physically, it's a physically demanding lifestyle. That's for sure. So they definitely injuries are real. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about it. A lot of people who watch it, oh, that's fake. I mean, they're telling a story. They are telling a story, but the injuries are not fake. They're very real. If you make a mistake, if you land the wrong way, if you do the wrong thing, many years on the road, your knees, your lower back, your head, I'm getting tongue twisted. Staples for those that get cut and busted open when they get hit with a chair or their head goes into a steel pole. So the injuries are very, the injuries are very,
Like,
very
why
real.
would you wanna?
Hey, some people have crazy lifestyle choices, and that's just one of them. I mean, it's a lot of people compare it. It's very like it's the modern day circus, you could say.
Sure.
It's a different city every night, different crowds every night. It's always a performance. It's always a show. It's always theatrical. But make no mistake, it is very real. And these are professional athletes, and they are doing an amazing job.
Yeah, well, I just I thought it was important to. I think we as much as we enjoy the performances, we just need to remind the fans that there is a real side to this.
Yeah.
And even aside from the physical that you talk about, the chairs and the what you put your body through, there's got to be a mental tiredness that goes on sometimes with the performers.
Yeah, of course. These guys are artists in many ways, and they deal with a lot. There's a lot on their plate, balancing their personal lives, their relationships, being on the road, dealing with management, storylines, goals that they have in their career, where they'd like to go with their career, what they'd like to see in the future. They have goals, and they have a lot to balance with personally, mentally, physically. It definitely takes a toll, and but at the type when they've reached a certain pinnacle, when they've reached a certain point, it's an unbelievable euphoria. It's a feeling that you can't buy. I mean, people love you. They're buying merchandise. They want pictures and autographs. They're waiting for you. They're praising you. Social media has been an amazing platform for them, where back in the day you needed one or two people to take a chance on you. Nowadays you could do something tremendous in the ring, and within an hour the entire planet is talking about you, hashtagging you, respecting you. You could become very popular very quickly. So these guys go through a lot, and they deserve the respect that they get, because they put their bodies and they put their necks on the line to entertain us.
Yeah. Well, and you talk about, you're obviously referring to social media. You can become very popular very quickly. You can also become very unpopular very quickly, though, right?
Yeah, if you could absolutely become unpopular. I mean, especially just recently, people very touchy with what you say, what you do, how you act. I mean, everyone sometimes they take it a little too far. We aren't show business. This is show business. So it is what it is. You have to take it with a grain of salt, and you can't judge these guys for what they're doing. I mean, they're not hurting anyone really. They're doing their thing. So you kind of just got to let them be creative in that way, as long as they're not hurting anyone, right?
Yeah. With wrestling changing the way it has over the years, and I mean, for me, I was a teenager in the 80s. So that era, but even before that, I mean, it seems like every sort of 10 to 12 years, like a lot of things, there's a change that happens,
a cycle.
Right? Yeah, right. And would you say that as part of the storyline for the show, are you using social media to create that that storyline now as well?
Yeah, social media has now become a direct. It's become a direct connection between us and the fans, where you'd need a television show to get out a message for your opponent, or to cut a promo. Nowadays, the talent can create a video. No matter where they are, we can upload it and connect to the fans and their opponent immediately, within minutes. Yeah. So it could use it for your benefit, and it can also be detrimental to you. So it can go both ways.
And would you get into like Twitter battles, say between
Yeah.
characters, that kind of thing? Yeah, those are
Absolutely.
fun.
It's great hype. Yeah, I mean, I think it all started. I think the biggest feud of 2018 was a Canadian, Chris Jericho.
Yeah,
Actually, two Canadians, Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega. And that
that's
was the
right.
biggest match of the year, live from Japan. And that was started and promoted through Twitter. That's how that all
Yeah.
started. It was a Twitter war, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, the tools have changed, right? But at the end of the day, I mean, we can watch, pay-per-view, that sort of thing, and that's certainly still popular with performances. But there's nothing like being right there. I've finally been able to get to a few here in Sarnia, and I remember years ago, the WWE did come to town, or it might have been WWS, so whatever, but you get the point. I got to see, Mr. Perfect perform before he, unfortunately passed away. But you really get a whole different appreciation and a different look at a wrestling match when you see it in person.
It's very different. Watching it on TV is great. You got all the different angles and everything, but it's a completely different experience when you catch a show live. I mean, just walking in the building, the smell of the popcorn, the merchandise, the T-shirts, the fans, the ring, the lighting, the sound, the spectacle. It's a show. It's theatrical. So we definitely highly recommend you watching it live. And it's much better live than on TV, for sure. Live is a completely different experience.
Yeah. And the fans really take to their characters, whether it's, I mean, there's always the fight against good and evil going on in the squared circle, right? But the fans really take their characters seriously. And outside of the ring, our Destiny performers, are they doing like community things? Are they involved outside of the ring? And what does that look like?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Sure, some of them do, absolutely. They'll donate their time to work with children and do benefits and fundraisers any way they can when they have the time. They do that. It's just time consuming. Not everyone does it, of course, because maybe they weren't approached. They don't know how to go about it, but certain individuals do.
Yeah,
and that's great.
Yeah, that's great to see. Well, you're coming to Sarnia on January the 18th, right?
Yes. Friday, January 18th, Destiny will be live in Sarnia, and we're excited. We're going to have Congo Kong, Impact Wrestling star. We're also going to have Stone Rockwell, who's amazing, very entertaining, very funny. He'll be there. And former WWE star Hornswoggle is coming. And
wow, that's awesome.
He's awesome. So we're telling everybody, if you want to see some live wrestling, you want to have a great time, come to Sarnia, come to Destiny World Wrestling on January 18th. It's going to be a fun, family-oriented show. People are going to love it. Scream, cheer, boo, and just come out and have a great time.
Yeah. And this is, how much are tickets for this?
Tickets are only $20 in advance. So go to DestinyWorldWrestling.com. Again, DestinyWorldWrestling.com, or go to TicketZone.com. Type in Destiny. The link will come up, and you get some details on the show. And or check us out on social media, of course, on Twitter at Destiny Wrestle, or on Facebook at Destiny Wrestling Show.
All right, we'll share all those links after the show here. And I know also our independent record store, Cheeky Monkey, has got tickets for sale.
Yes, that's right.
And also our friend Jake Chersky, who I mentioned earlier at Philly Cheese Jake's, he's going to be selling tickets there as well.
Great sandwiches, by the way. I love their sandwiches. Their food's amazing. They cater to all the wrestlers. These wrestlers love their food, and they're going to have a vending area there, so whoever's at the show gets some of their food.
That's awesome. Well, I'm hoping I can make it down there as well.
Well, we hope
too.
to see you there. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Come out, come meet the guys backstage, and maybe you'll be a guest ring announcer for one match.
I'd be up for that for sure.
Awesome.
George, thank you so much. Before you go, anything else you want to add in there?
Just it's a privilege and an honor to go to Sarnia, and we can't wait till January 18th. We'll see you ringside.
Okay, perfect. George, thanks so much. Safe travels.
Thank you.
All right, George Menz, the president of Destiny Wrestling, coming to Sarnia on January the 18th. Hey, I just got invited to host one of the matches. That might be kind of fun, right? And wrestling is fun, and he said it's family-oriented. So get your tickets in advance. They're only $20. Again, down at Philly Cheese Jake's at 988 Confed here in Sarnia. Cheeky Monkey, downtown Sarnia, the only independent record store in the area, the corner of Christina and Cromwell. Or go online. We'll post all that again at the end of the show. So thanks, George. I know he's busy on the road, so we do appreciate him taking time to be here with us. All right. Well, one of our monthly visits from our friend, Executive Director of United Way Sarnia-Lambton, Dave Brown, joining us. Hey, Dave.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, my
Thank
friend.
you. Thank you.
Did you get some time off with family and friends, etc.?
I did actually. I had lots of time with family and friends, so I really enjoyed the break. Not much of a rest, but I certainly enjoyed the time away from the office for a few days.
Yeah, and how's your? Did you join a gym?
Actually, I did.
Did you? Okay.
You must have seen me sneaking out the back door.
Well, I was just talking about it at the beginning of the show that memberships go up this time of year.
Yeah.
But I'm curious how many people get past the 3-month mark.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be me.
Stick with it, man. It'll be worth it in the long run.
Absolutely.
For sure. How we didn't really get a chance to chat before today and
Right.
sort of get some updates, but I'm glad you're here. How did the campaign go?
Well, first off, it's always a pleasure to be here on the show, David. The campaign, although we didn't reach goal, in our view, was an overwhelming success.
Yeah.
We did reach 98.4%. So
All
we
right.
missed our $2 million target by just $31,000. So we made up a lot of ground in the last 2 or 3 weeks. We
Yeah.
had some first-time donors, some very generous first-time donors, and some people who increased their annual gift as well, which really helped bridge that gap. And to finish just $31,000 off, 1.6% off, we at the United Way, including our volunteer board of directors and other committees, are very grateful, very blessed to have raised as much as we did.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not perfect, but like I say, you come real close. And I think considering the last time we talked, you were coming up quite a bit short.
Yes.
To be able to get as far as you did when you were, because you were behind compared to last year, right?
Much of the campaign, really, we were lagging quite a bit behind. In some cases, a week, some cases, a couple weeks behind last year's pace. And we feared in late November that we might be as much as 5% off. We thought we might hit 95%, which is 100,000 short. But Nova Chemicals and employees and retirees from there and from other work sites came through for us. And Christmas Eve at noon, we were just right around 89%. And then we got another 10 to 15,000 in during the Christmas and New Year's time period.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, we can repeat ourselves here in saying this, but Sarnia really is a very giving, come together in time of need kind of city.
Absolutely. I mean, I see that all the time, both anecdotally when I'm talking to people and talking to other charitable organizations, but we also see it when we look at Stats Canada data and other data that can't be disputed. It's based on tax returns and whatnot. We really do have a higher percentage of participation in donating to charities, and our average gift is also higher than what the Canadian and provincial averages would be. So absolutely, when we say Sarnia-Lambton is a caring, giving community, we know that to be a fact.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. What sort of things are in the new year for United Way Sarnia-Lambton? What's next?
Well, right now we're going to be the board meets next week to go over the final budget figures that we have, and we'll make our 3-year funding decisions. I think you and your viewers will know that we do 3-year funding for the agencies, and currently we've got 19 agencies. That might change in a couple of weeks, but we do 3-year funding, which enables the United Way to save money and to provide things like day of caring and whatnot without having to hire additional staff. But it's also great for the agencies. They can spend more time focusing on the clients and providing quality service and less time worrying about their United Way allocation. They can do 3-year planning and so on. So we're going to be making those decisions next week, and we'll be announcing very soon thereafter about the changes in funding for those agencies and changes to our own operating budget. I think that we'll have some things to announce to try to look at keeping our costs as absolutely low as possible.
Well, I guess that's important too, right? I mean, obviously, the nonprofits and the charities have to learn how to stretch that almighty dollar as far as possible, because as giving of the community is, these agencies still need to do other things besides rely on the United Way,
right,
in order to survive, right? So Can you give us kind of an inkling as to what kind of things you do at the United Way on your end to kind of keep costs down?
Well, one of the things that we've done, the board made some very good investment decisions with some of our campaign funds last year. We had invested in some, for example, some very conservative bond funds, which increased dramatically the amount of money coming in from interest revenues from our campaign funds. So one of the things that we're fortunate in this community too is a lot of the manufacturing companies actually give us the money, their donations, either right at the time they announce them or even beforehand. So we're often sitting on campaign dollars long before we give it out to the agencies. So the board made some very good investment decisions, increasing the amount of money that we get in from revenues. There may be some things that we can do administration-wise that could save costs even more. And, we've got 15 members on our local volunteer board of directors, and they're on the same page as the staff. We feel for every $8 we can save is another Meals on Wheel for somebody in Sarnia who needs it. And so it's pinned that close. So because of that, we're the only United Way in Canada to be members of the Better Business Bureau. We're very proud of the fact that a significant percentage of the money that we raise in our campaign goes out to funded agencies. And I can see that gap narrowing even more in the future, thanks to things like our Future Fund, whereby donors would donate parts of their estate, maybe a percentage of their estate, life insurance policies, that kind of thing. We can invest that, and then we use the interest for directly funding into agencies. Again, keeping our costs low and keeping our funding as stable as possible as well.
It's interesting that you mentioned that whole investment thing, because you don't often hear, nonprofits talk about, well, we've got this money, and while you're looking, besides just having fundraisers, you're looking at how internally you can make your money work for you, just like a business or even an individual. Like, I do my RSPs and all that stuff. I think that's very commendable. And you mentioned the board. You have 15 members of the board. Let's talk about the board, because they're all local and they make a lot of decisions.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that set the United Way apart is we do have a local board of directors. Yeah, we take direction and whatnot from United Way of Canada and United Way worldwide. But ultimately, it's those 15 people who decide our policies. They set budgets. They decide who we're going to fund, funding levels, and that kind of thing. And it's funny, you mentioned about the investments. Oftentimes when we do new board member training and we go through the details of our finances and whatnot and how transparent we are, they say, wow, I didn't realize there's this much to United Way. It's so much more than just bake sales and barbecues. There really is that back end that you don't see, but could have a dramatic effect at the end of the day to increase funding to agencies. And I think ultimately that's what the donors want, is they want as much of their contribution as possible going to local agencies, not being housed inside for our own local programs and services, but to actually flow through to agencies who are providing those programs and services. And the other thing that we do, David, is we monitor every one of those programs. And right now there's 35 programs provided by those 19 agencies. They have to fill out quarterly reports. So we know that A, the money is going where it's supposed to, and B, we're getting the results that we expect.
So you're not just being nice guys and saying, here's a check for $10,000. Now go do what you want with us, and we'll see you in 3 years.
No, there's quarterly follow-ups with every one of the funded agencies.
Well, that's important, right? Because I think the donors want probably a response to their dollars. And
just
how is this? Do I like where my money's going?
Just as you mentioned here, our RSPs just a few minutes ago, you want to know from your guy that you're getting the best return on the money. You want to make sure that his fees are as low as possible, and that you want to have some ideas the types of program companies and investments that he's investing in. We're the same way with the charitable dollar. We view every donation, regardless of it being $10 or $10,000, as an investment in our community. And like all investments, we provide a return. So we know, for example, when we fund programs like Rebound, and we know how many kids we're preventing from becoming in conflict with the law and perhaps preventing coming involved with the courts or jail time or whatnot, we know how much that saves our community. We know if we save a senior a fall, that's less time that person has to spend in ER departments or in hospitals and whatnot, what saves all of us as taxpayers. Plus, it frees up another bed in case somebody needs one in case of some other emergency.
Sure.
So really donating to a group like the United Way really is an investment in a better community, not just for the client, not just for the client's family, but for the community overall.
Yeah. What's the, this might be a two-part question, but you obviously have relationships with a lot of agencies in the area. Are you limited to how many agencies you can take on? Part A, and part B, what's the process like for, say, a new agency that says, hey, I want to see if I can get funded by the United Way?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, Dave. Again, every United Way is different, and you could have two United Ways that raise the same amount of money, but one United Way has got double the agencies. It's really up to those local board of directors to determine the best use of dollars and the best use of volunteerism in their community with their dollars. So I'll leave that one at that.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
In terms of being a 3-year funded agency, of course, the clock starts every 3 years, so you've missed that opportunity now. But coming up in the year 2021, we'll start the year-long process again of identifying who the next 3-year agencies will be. So this program, when we announce next week, we've really started that process almost a year ago, determining which United Ways would be, which agencies would be eligible to apply. Do they meet our goals and objectives? In other words, do they fund seniors, families, or youth? Do they have local board of directors and local decision making and that kind of thing? And then the process goes on. But we also have, Dave, a venture grant program, and it's something I'm really proud of. We have about 5% of our entire campaign is available for the venture grant program. So in our case, it's about, I think it's $110,000 right now.
Wow.
Every January, the clock starts fresh. And any not-for-profit organization in Sarnia-Lambton that funds either programs geared to youth, families, or seniors can apply for that 1-year funding up to $30,000 maximum, and you can reapply for 2 more years. So if you're an agency that has great potential, providing a great service, but you missed that 3-year funding cycle, you can get the venture grants for a couple of years to bridge it to that point. Or we get some agencies that just need funding for 1 year, for whatever reason. And the agency cannot currently be funded by the United Way. I should point that out. So really, it's an open process for any community group in Sarnia-Lambton in good standing with CRA, and they could apply for that funding, and they could apply year-round. So they don't have to, just because we've got the money available because of last year's campaign today, they can still apply next November if there's funding still available.
Okay. Now, do they have to be, like, if someone were, do they have to be already existing? Or is that, I mean, as long as they're already registered, but I'm trying to get this thing off the ground kind of thing.
Yeah, it could be an existing agency that has the need for a brand new program. And we saw that with the Opening Doors program, for example, operated in Sarnia and now in Forest through the North Lambton Community Health Center. They saw a need to fight depression and isolation amongst young adults. They put together a program to us. They came and applied for venture grant funding. It was a huge success. We talked to a lot of people who've taken the program, and it's completely turned their lives around. They now are one of those agencies that are being reviewed for 3-year funding. But they could also be, David, a brand new agency that is new in our community, but maybe they're partnering in the community. So maybe they could partner with another agency just to get them started so we can flow the funds through them. Because the United Way, a lot of your listeners may not know, the United Way is actually registered with Canada Revenue Agency as a public foundation, which means unlike the Salvation Army and United Good Shepherd, we cannot give money to individuals or to anybody we want. We can only fund agencies that the government calls qualified donees. So a qualified donee could be a school board, a municipality, or a legally registered charity in Canada. So if you're a brand new agency and you don't have that Canada Revenue Agency number yet, you could partner with another agency and have that money flow through them so that you can get on your own feet and get started.
Oh, right. Which often, a lot of times, I've seen that for sure. Yep. And actually, one of the nice things about that is it creates new relationships and new partnerships, which, as you know, is very, very important making that side
And we
of things
really,
grow.
you're right. We really encourage partnerships. I mean, they're a win-win for the community, and they can be cost-effective. And the bottom line is a more efficient service for the community.
Yeah. One of the things I've observed and enjoyed about United Way Sarnia-Lambton is the relationships, not only that you have with the agencies, but you really have a direct personal connection with the people of Sarnia. And some of those examples, well, like you're often seen at Sting games, with your group and doing things there. But you and your group are out helping people in their homes. And sorry, I forget the name of the day.
The Day of Caring.
Day of Caring.
Right.
So you really connect directly with the community.
Oh, we do, and it's something that we're really proud of. I think we're fortunate that we've had, although a small staff, a staff that's been here for a long time. We don't have a lot of turnover, so I think that aids in that. But we also have a very proactive board of directors. I mean, I keep coming back to the board and some of our volunteer committees. They're solidly committed behind supporting the United Way, opening doors for us, getting us out to places. And that's one of the things we enjoy doing, check presentations for our own social media. And, it gets a chance for us to talk to them and for them to meet some of the board members directly. Because it really is, you talk about a partnership. It really is a collaboration between staff and volunteers and board of directors and others in the community.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that word collaboration. We're hearing more and more of that, but which is great. How is social media? You just mentioned that. How has social media played? What role has it played for the support of United Way Sarnia-Lambton and its growth?
Well, it's funny. We had that discussion earlier today with just talking off the cuff. It's in a state of transition right now. The average United Way of Sarnia-Lambton donor still subscribes to local newspaper and listens to local radio. That's the average donor. The new donor, the new United Way donor, and they're growing, and there's more and more of them, are watching the show with David Burrows, and they're watching their news online, and they're getting information from social media. So we really have to be pretty good at both things right now. Remembering that average donor, the traditional donor, who gets his news that way and likes to see the United Way column or logo or whatnot. But then there's that social media new donor who likes to see people they know, and they're very visual in nature. And they want to see colors, and they want to see infographics and as I said, people that they know. So right now we're trying to tread both lines. I think our social media by and large is getting better. And by being a frequent guest on the show certainly helps that significantly. But the other traditional support we get is through employee payroll deductions.
Right.
And if we can, do really old school and get in and do presentations at the workplace, whether it's at the end of a safety meeting or a staff meeting, and just tell people, whether it's a small group of 5 or a larger group of 100, exactly how it is the United Way helps them in our community, or maybe somebody they know, and that our costs aren't huge, and that, whatever they may have read, because social media can also be bad. I mean, it can be also an opportunity for people to get some misinformation from us as well.
Sure.
So some of those presentations, it's a great opportunity for us to say, this is our United Way. I can't talk for United Ways or other organizations down the road or down the river or whatever, but I can tell you about our United Way, and I can answer any of the questions that you have right now.
Perfect.
So that's kind of our strategy at this point. It's certainly going forward. If we can meet as many people as we can, there's very few reasons not to support the United Way if you want to help people. And we know that this community is full of people who want to help.
Yeah. Well, and that just gave me some ideas on social media for you. We'll talk about that later.
Terrific.
I've made some notes, but it's and you heard me probably talking to the president of Destiny Wrestling earlier about social media. It can be for, it can be against. And I think more and more, not enough yet, but I think more nonprofits and charities, including agencies like yourself, are going, if we're not doing some sort of social media, we're
Yeah.
really losing dollars that could be coming towards our campaigns
right.
and our fundraisers.
The one platform that we're really not using now, but we will going forward, is a YouTube channel. That's something that we haven't got now. We're on all the other platforms. But again, people are visual. They want to be told a story. They want to be entertained. We have to get into YouTube. But more than just social media, it's technology overall. I mean, it's enabled organizations like ours to be more creative, to be more targeted in our marketing, and more efficient. We don't have to print off now thousands of brochures of the exact same thing. We can print off 5 directly for a particular place. So it's really, I consider that whole new technology, social media technology, software solutions, has really leveled the playing field and made things, if you're creative, cheaper and more direct.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's go just before we got to wrap up here. Is there a list of agencies that you support? Can people go somewhere and see these are the agencies, or
Absolutely.
how public is that?
It's very public. In fact, if you go to our website, which is www.theunitedway.owen.ca, people think that's the national website, but it's not. We were, as you know, we're pretty proactive. So we got that URL pretty darn quick. And then in the middle there, you'll see community investments.
Okay.
And if you scroll down you come to agency directory.
Oh, okay.
By clicking on the agency directory, it lists all of the agencies we fund, including their contact information and phone numbers in case somebody needs help. It gives 1 or 2 lines of the programs that we're funding. And it also gives the current allocations amount. So I'm looking at right now, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Sarnia-Lambton. All their contact information and address. Their current allocation is $189,537. And then a brief description of the agency. So all of our 19 funded agencies are listed there. I think it's over about 4 or 5 pages. I think we list 4 or 5 agencies per page. Skipping ahead to page 3, we've got Lambton Elderly Outreach.
Okay. Who's talking to you? Is Siri talking to you?
It is, and I wasn't really talking to her.
Hey, Siri.
I'm not sure what happened there. Oh, clicked again.
Oh, no, anyway. That's me.
Hello.
That's what I get for being smarty pants.
So you see, all of our agencies are funded with the allocations amount. So people, and that's per year. So the Lambton Elderly Outreach currently is getting $53,000 every year. And then we'll adjust that amount in a week or 2. And that the new funding will begin April 1st, 2019, and will run until March 31st, 2022.
Okay.
Can
you still see me?
Yep. So I'm
having a problem at my end, so keep talking.
So we want to be as transparent as we possibly can. Also on our website, you'll see all of our audited financial statements. And in fact, our audit for the 2018 year will start already February the 11th. And that's when we have a third party, in this case, it's BDO, comes in, and they will analyze every aspect of our operation. They will follow through donations right from donor to agency to make sure that, again, exactly where the money's going, to make sure we're abiding by all CRA rules and regulation and so on. And so those audited financial statements are right there on our website. Again, that's under the About Us. You go down to annual reports and financial statements, and there they are going back to 2002. So we really do want to be as transparent as possible. So people who do donate can see everything that there is to know about the United Way. That's
fantastic. Well, it's always great to catch up with you, Dave, and see what's going on at the United Way. And I'll send you a message when I'm done the show, because there are a couple of things that you mentioned there I'd love to talk to you about.
Fantastic.
But thanks so much. And please give thanks to your team, because I know you have just a small team of 5. Is that right?
5, including myself.
Yeah. Wow. And you guys do a lot of work, and the passion for what you do, obviously, it shows as well. And because you've been there how long now?
This will be my 33rd year.
Wow. They must like you.
Or they can't find somebody else. I'm not sure.
There you go. Dave Brown, thanks so much for joining, buddy.
Always
and
a pleasure.
I'll look forward to you at another Sting game soon.
I'll look for you. Always a
All
pleasure.
right.
Thanks, David.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Our friend Dave Brown from United Way Sarnia-Lambton, and I appreciate him continuing to talk as I fix the technical side of things here. A lot of great reasons to support. Obviously, you know, there's lots of choices out there to support, but the United Way just seems like a really smart choice when you're looking to support a whole bunch of agencies instead of one. If you can't decide, the United Way is a good option, and we're going to share all those links. So you can see up there right now, the unitedway.on.ca, best way to reach out to them. They're also on Facebook and other social media as well. Maybe we'll get them on YouTube. We'll help them get them on YouTube there. There you go. Thanks again, Dave. All right. Well, just before we go, just a few more things here to talk about. Coming up this week, and I'm excited to be a part of it. It began earlier today at 10 o'clock Eastern. It's 5 days live of video training. So if you're considering starting a talk show like this, or maybe you're just interested in different social media tips and tricks, all this week on the live video hub, it's 5 days live. Free training from experts like myself, RJ Redden, Stephen Healy, Brigetti, and a whole list. You can see them all there on the screen. People I deal with and work with often. Free training every day this week, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you can't be there live, don't worry. The replays will be available as well. Once again, it's called the Live Video Hub on Facebook, so check that out for sure. I will be live tomorrow as one of the experts talking about different aspects of how to do a proper interview on a show. So Stephen Healy will be joining me there as well. Looking forward to that. Also, if you're hungry, Women of the Moose have their famous fish dinner on this Friday, January the 11th. And that is from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Moose Lodge here in Sarnia-Lambton. It's only $10 to enjoy the dinner. I've had one there once. Great food. And great social times here as well. Women of the Moose here at the Moose Lodge in Sarnia. Speaking of women, the Women's March Canada is happening on January the 19th. This is a special March event that has been brought to Sarnia by several local women who were away on a trip and discovered this, and now they're bringing it here to Sarnia. And on January the 19th, the rally and March will begin at the old Sears parking lot at Lambton Mall. And it's not 100% confirmed. I'm hoping to have some of them here next Monday as some of my guests. So the Women's March on January the 19th, I invite you to join with them. And if you want to find out more what they're marching about and how this is all going to take place, you'll be able to find Women's March Sarnia on Facebook here as well. Well, you can't always watch me, but you can always listen to me. And if you don't want to see my handsome face, you can take me on the road and listen to me. This is where we are available on all these different platforms now. The platforms of Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, very excited for that, Apple Podcasts, and we're also available on Spotify. So you can just simply go there and download as you normally would any other podcast and take me to work with you or listen to me on your lunch hour, whatever works best for you, right? And also coming up here tonight, I've been broadcasting on Twitch. Twitch is not just a platform for gamers anymore, although games are fun. You can see talk shows and people just chatting or people painting, people playing music on their guitar. There are a lot of different categories. And if you like watching video shows, I would highly recommend you just go to twitch.tv. But later on tonight, I will be starting my broadcasts up for the new year. I'll just put it in there now. Twitch.tv. And there is where you'll find me. And tonight is Father versus Son night. Yeah, so my son Jason joins me on the Twitch channel, and we play games. We do some golf, and we shoot each other and have fun a little bit. It's usually me trying to win against him, but it's very entertaining. We have a lot of fun. That starts at 8 o'clock Eastern and runs till about 11 o'clock tonight, 3-hour shows. And then Tuesday and Wednesdays, I will be doing another live talk show called Twitch Talk. And that's going to be happening every Tuesday and Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So 3 nights a week on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern, runs from 8 till 11 p.m. on each night. That's right. There's lots going on in 3 hours. So we'll hope you come join us. And you can join on camera to talk about whatever you want to talk about with us during Twitch Talk. And you can even join us on Monday nights with my son and I. And if you have some of the games that we play, we invite you to join and play along with us as well. So it's going to be busy times, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to getting out and entertaining all of you. And I do appreciate all of you being here as part of my show. I do appreciate you, and I hope you're having a great, happy New Year and off to a wonderful start. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. That's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. I will see you next time right here on the show. Bye for now.